LaVar Arrington, my compadre from NFL Network, former Redskin, former Giant, former Penn Stater, or they're always a Penn Stater, joining me here on the Rich Eisen Show. How are you, LaVar?
Great. I thought the better reference would have been, what is dumpster fire of the NFC East?
Now that would have been a great Sports Jeopardy question, and I'm not allowed. We're not allowed to talk about the Sports Jeopardy that we went against each other. Only thing I can say is that if that was one of the clues, you would have probably gotten it wrong, LaVar.
Yeah, you're probably right. But I want to get everything right that you asked me on this call, though. That's all that matters.
So what do you make of the NFC East? What do you make of this division, LaVar?
It seems to be a division that has a very topsy-turvy year from year to year. I mean, last year was obviously the NFC South that had the same type of setup and situation, and you saw a Carolina Panthers team surge once they made it to the playoffs. And now they've continued to build on that into this season. So looking at where the NFC East is right now, it's a division that, obviously is in disarray in terms of high achievement. And injuries can play a part in some of it. I think you look at the Giants, their injuries up front on their offensive line has been crippling. They've had injuries on the defensive side of the ball as well. You look at Dallas, clearly losing DeMarco Murray. If you didn't think that was a big deal, I think you know now that losing DeMarco Murray was a big deal. And also the injuries to Dez Bryant and to Tony Romo. You look at the Redskins, they seem to be, in my opinion, the most stable team out of all of them, even though they came into the season. And I didn't get to the most confused team in Philly, but actually, the worst thing that you could say about the Redskins was their quarterback situation, and a lot of people felt like Kirk Cousins gave this team the better chance to win to begin with. So I don't know how much of a distraction that was. So then you go to the Eagles, and Chip Kelly takes over. He almost could have created an entirely different culture of how the National Football League does business, how the owners do business, the leverage point of coaches, and the minimizing of players. But that certainly has not happened, and it still rings true that it's still players overall. Like, it's not system, it's not coaches, it's not GMs, it's players. Players play games. So now you got to be able to make the right decisions, and you got to bring the right people in, and you got to have the right person coaching them. But Chip Kelly has single-handedly proven that the thought process of how you approach building a team is clearly not moving it away from or diminishing or minimizing what players represent. So NFC East is what it is.
I want to have some fun with you here, LaVar. You're in charge of the Redskins. What do? What's your first order of business? Sign Kirk Cousins? That's the sort of thing I'm looking for. I want to put you in charge of each of these four teams. LaVar Arrington is now in charge of the Washington Redskins. What is to be done with this 5-7 team?
Looking at it from the outside in, I mean, obviously I would need to know salary cap implications, whose salaries are what players, what years they're in. Like, I would have to know a whole lot of information. But if I'm looking at it from the outside in and where this team is, yes, Kirk Cousins is your first priority. That's your first priority, and you get him signed. I would get him signed right now. Why not? Why not get a deal done with him? I mean, maybe you're not rules-wise able to get him done right now, but he's your top priority. I mean, Kirk Cousins played a whale of a game yesterday. I mean, did put a lot of points on the board, but he made the plays where the plays needed to be made and put his team in a position to win that game yesterday. And he's done that as the quarterback of this team since playing, more so in the second half of the season than in the first half. So I think he's playing with a lot more confidence. That would be, as a GM, that would be my first priority. I think my second priority, if I'm looking at the Washington Redskins, is what am I going to do with my receiving core? Because you have some guys that are truly emerging. Crowder's emerging. What do I do with Pierre Garçon? What do I do with Deshaun Jackson? what do I do with this? Because this offense, with Jordan Reed staying healthy, you actually have the makings of a tremendously gifted group of players, or a collection of players on one side of the ball. So I would want to make sure that I'm continuing to keep the core nucleus of players together on the offensive side of the ball. What do you do in the backfield with Jones and Morris? It seems as though Morris has lost favor with Gruden, or has lost favor in terms of what he represents to the team. And so now you have to figure out, what are you going to do with that situation? Can those two coexist, Jones and Morris? Those would be. I would address the offensive side of the ball, and then next, obviously you want to address the secondary of the team. I think that up front, their linebackers, I think that they're pretty strong. Actually, I think they've done a good job of building up front, and their front seven, their front eight. But they got to make sure that they're finding someone. They need a signature guy in that secondary, whether it be at safety or at corner.
LaVar, did you see that Ed Werder reports that DeMarco Murray had a conversation with Jeff Lurie about his role on the team?
Well, I've heard that there's been rumblings of discontent with players, and DeMarco Murray as obviously he's healthy, and he's not having a tremendous impact on the team. So I don't, Rich, I don't know if he was a product of a really, really good offensive scheme or offensive line in Dallas. I just know you don't luck your way into leading the National Football League in rushing yards. There's no luck involved with that. There's certain things that you can say, oh, they got lucky. That's not one of them. So I don't know where things went wrong, why DeMarco Murray is not having the type of success that he's having. But if I were a guy that left for more money, went to another team, a divisional team, and I'm performing, or I'm at the place DeMarco Murray is right now, I'd be having conversations with my wife. I'd be having conversations with the owner. I'd be having conversations with the coach. Hell, I'd be having conversations with Rich Eisen, because I want to know what's going on, and I want to get it off my chest.
Wow.
I want it to be made known. That's not luck. I led the NFL, rushing yards. Why am I not at least in the conversation of best backs in the NFL this year?
Well, if he asked me, LaVar, I'd say he's in the wrong system and he needs a fullback in front of him. That's what I'd say. Go find a better system and find a fullback. Get out of there.
But he made that decision.
No, I know he did make that decision, but
Yeah, he made that decision. So what is, he made the decision to go to Philadelphia. The one thing, you want to know my biggest thought process in terms of looking at life in general is, it's not always about the money. It's not always about the money, because in some cases you can actually have more value outside of the money later on if you keep yourself in the proper situation. And to me, I think that he undervalued what his scenario was in Dallas. They wanted him there. They couldn't afford him. He knew that they couldn't afford him with Dez Bryant and that whole situation. Like, take less money, because at the end of the day, if you take less money and you stay there and you have more success, bottom line is that money will come back to you anyway doing something else. So I think there's a lesson to be learned in that, because I think you're right. He is in the wrong system. He's clearly in the wrong situation, and that, if the money is worth you being able to endure, your reputation being in question, or were you an overnight success, or is your career now a bust based upon where you're at now? I guess you got to weigh those things out personally.
So who do you think's going to win the NFC East? That's our poll question today. Who do you think's going to win it? I love it.
Jeez. If I could close my eyes.
Yes, you don't do that. It sounds like you're driving, LaVar. Don't close your eyes. Sounds like you're driving, but just figuratively do it.
I'm a passenger.
Okay, good.
Now, honestly speaking, I wouldn't feel comfortable giving a team that I think is going to win, because I don't know that anybody is a favorite to win the NFC East. I chose the Giants based upon what I felt was superior coaching, but the Giants are skidding right now. They lost to the Redskins. The Redskins, I don't know if they win that game in overtime, but they certainly weren't playing in a way where they looked like they were an inferior team to Dallas. And I don't know. The Eagles won that game. It was a trap game to me more than the Eagles are.
So who wins it? What do you got? Who do you got?
I don't know, Rich.
Okay.
I'm rambling because I don't know. I don't know what to tell you.
There's no choice if I don't know. So before I let you go, what do you think of the Heisman finalists? The group of Heisman finalists.
I thought the kid should have been there from Navy. I think he should be sitting there. He's going to go on to represent our country in a much more important way than handing the ball off or executing an option offense. And what he has represented to Navy and to college football with his stats and his accomplishments, he should have at least been sitting there. He should have at least been there. That says to me, sometimes, popularity wins out, or the popularity or the size of the school wins out. I think he should have been there. Reynolds.
Yep. I've got him on hour 3 of the show. Thanks for kicking off hour 1, LaVar. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. No worries. Thank you.
You got it at LaVar Arrington on Twitter here on The Rich Eisen Show. He couldn't even figure it out.
The Rich Eisen Show, weekdays at noon Eastern. On Audience.